Hello everyone, I welcome you all programming using Python MCA third semester course. In the last session we have discussed about how to go for multi-line strings in multi-line in a string that is using either continuous three single quote or a three double quotes. Using that we can go for multi-line of string. So after that we have discussed with how to display the content on your screen, that is print function we have learned, and after that we have discussed with how to take a input from the keyboard, that is input functions. In today's we are going back to the last sessions in the previous sessions. In that we have learned that for every value or a variable there will be a memory will be get created, right? So for every value the Python will going to create a object, and that object will have a memory address. So that will identifies the uniqueness of the value or a variable. So you can identify the actual memory address of the object by using a built-in function called IDE. So by using a built-in function called IDE. So this built-in function will return the integer type of value, so that it will contain the address of that particular object. Okay. So for this you can see the documentation of the help using help, that is help of IDE. So my left hand side you can see the help IDE. So it is a help on built-in function in module built-in. So and the syntax, it is ID within the parenthesis it has a object, then slash. So it's going to return the identifiers of an object. Whatever we have passed as a parameter with respect to the object, it going to return the identifier of that object. So this is guarantees to be the unique among the simultaneously existing objects. So there may be a number of objects. So this ID will refers to the this ID will identifies the unique among the all the other objects which is existing in your memory. Okay. So let's go with the examples. So here I am assigning a value 5 to a variable A, and also I am assigning a value to a variable B with a value of A. Okay. Then I am assigning a value C with a value called 5.5. Okay. Now I am going to print. So what is the address or the ID of the number 5? So that will be equal to then ID of value 5. Okay. So for every value it will create a memory object, and that object has a memory address. So that here the object it is 5, and I need to find out the memory address for this object 5. Okay. When I get executed, I will get the answer as ID of 5 equal to 1 4 5 9 7 2 3 0 6 5. Okay. So this may be vary with respect to the computer system, because it going to allocate the identifiers when depends on the memory free allocations. So that this may be different for each computer or the time of executions. Let us go with executing next statement. Print ID of A. Okay. Then ID of A equal to 1 4 5 9 7 2 3 0 6 5. Okay, let us consider what is the identifier of this value b. Print id of b equal to id b, then output will be id of b equal 1 4 5 9 7 2 3 0 6 5. Okay, let us print the what is the idea of the variable c. Okay, print id of c equal to id of c. Okay, this is c. So when I get executed, I will get the output as id of c equal to okay. So this is how I receives the output when I get executed with respect to the objects. Okay, so you can observe that it is important to note that everything in a Python, it is of type objects, even if it is a number or if it is a class. So everything it is considered as a objects. So hence the integer 5, it is a unique ID. So integer 5, it is a unique ID. The ID of integer 5 is remain constant throughout the lifetime. Okay, throughout the lifetime the integer, it has a unique ID, so it remain constant during lifetime of this execution. And this is the similar case with respect to this floating point value and other objects. So you can observe this, the value of id 5, it is same memory address or identifier, and with respect to the a, so we having the same identification number. Okay, because it is an object, so this variable will refer to the same object, and that object will have a only one or the one constant unique ID, so that we will have a same or the same addresses. Clear? Consider the functions, or the functions will also have the objects. We can check it for the what is the address of the functions. Okay, let us consider id abs, absolute value. So when you get executed, so the output may be 177505936 6 7 6 8 10. Okay, so like that it may get printed id of input function or input object. So you may get 1775063 okay, and then you can try with converter, that is integer int, so you will get answer as 14597369293. Okay, you may get like this. So it is not constants with all the things. Okay, sorry, with respect to this function it is constants. With respect to when the functions or variables are get changes, the values will get changes. So this is for the memory address. So I am going just repeating it. So with respect to variable or values, for each values or a variable there will be a object will be created in a Python, and that object will be identified by IDE, it is a short form, and that identifier will have a memory address, and that address will map to the particular variable or a value. To know the exact address of the variable or a value, or with respect to functions, we can use a built-in function called ID. Okay, next topic it is functions in Python. functions in Python. Okay. So functions means it's a group of related statements that perform a specific task. So function is nothing but it's a group of related statements that perform a specific task, and this function will going to help to break our large program into a smaller, or it can be a modular of chunks. So as the programs goes larger and larger, and the function will make it for make organized, and it should get manageable. Okay, so it may going to avoid the repetitions of code, and we can use reuse the code once again. So for that we can use a functions. So general form of the function is diff, function name, div function name, so this is what the general form or a syntax of a function. So usually the function header will starts from the def keyword, def keyword, and which is followed by the name of the function or the function name, and then the number of parameter which can be passed to the function, and each parameter is separated by the comma, and this colon will represent that it is a end of the function header. So this is defines the end of the function header. Okay, the keyword def, it marks that it is start of the function header. This function name it to uniquely identify the function. Okay, so after that the parameter or the arguments through which we can pass a value to the functions, and this parameter are optional, and a colon it marks the end of the function header. Okay, after this you need to go for one or more valid Python statement that make up a function body. Okay, so you need to go for one or more valid Python statement that make a function body, and with respect to this body, that should have some indentation level. So when you are going for the body part, you need to give a 4 space. So this is what the Python usually refers. Okay, and after that you should have a return statement so that it return the value to the function. Okay, and the form of the general form of return function is return expression. So this is how we are going to work with general form of your functions. Okay, let us define a simple function. Okay, example, diff is a keyword. Okay, greet is a function name, and it is optional, but here I am taking a one parameter, that is name. Okay, after that I am ending the function header, that is with a colon. It is not semicolon, it is a colon. So after that take a 4 space. Okay, then that you need to write function body. So here I am writing print hello. Okay, I am writing hello plus name hello, then either you can go for good morning or good afternoon or good evening. Okay, this is how you are going to write it. So once we have defined a functions, we call it from another function, or the function call can be done with function itself, or it can be called in a program, or even in a Python prompt also we can call a functions. To call a functions, we simply type the function name with the appropriate parameter. So with respect to this functions, so here I am using a Python prompt. Okay, greet, name, here I am writing my name itself, so Mahalakshmi. So after executing this, I will get output as hello, Mahalakshmi, good morning. Okay, got it? See, I have one thing I have made it. So when you are writing this function, if it is in a file, means using a IDL, you can just write it directly. If you are using a prompt, means in a shell, so this should be there. When you press colon, it automatically gives a 3 continuous dot. After that you need to take a tab, then start writing. Okay, I forgot to tell this when I writing. Let us give one more example. So here I am using prompt only, I am not using IDL 8, so that I will use prompt only. Def my function, in a function parameter I am passing one argument, I am closing the header, so that after that, so this 3 dot will come, as we know that it's for it understood that program is in middle of expression. So in this I am using a return statement. So return 5 multiplied by value of x. So once I press enter, it will go to here. So once again you need to press enter, then the next prompt will comes. Okay, then call a function print, okay, then my underscore function. So here the value of function parameter x, it is 3. Okay, so when I get executed this statement, I will get the answer as 15, because 5 multiplied by 3, 5 3s are 15. So answer it is 15. Okay, so like that you can pass a argument as 5, so that 5 multiplied by 5 you will get answer as 25. If you pass 9, if you pass a 9, 9 3s are 45. So like that you will get a answer. Okay, next go for how to trace a function call in terms of memory module. Let us write one example, and based on this example we are going to trace the function call. Okay, tracing function call. Let us write a simple program, diff. So here I am defining a function f, and it has a parameter called x. So f of x, I am ending the header. So after that, tab, so writing with the parameter, sorry, in prompt, so that by it will come, then x will assign with a value called 2, that is multiplied with the value of x. After that, it going to return the value of x. Okay, this is my function. Then I am calling a function, and here assigning a value of x, it is 1. Okay, I am calling a function f of x plus 1 plus f of x plus 2. Okay, right? So this is a function, and based on this function we are going to trace the memory module. So you can see that here the code is maybe confusing, yes, because most of the large part of this you can see it is a only x. So x, right? So it uses what we have all learned, whatever we have learnt in the last classes, we can, all the things are came here. So yeah, that is assignment statements, assignment statement, expressions, assignment statements, expressions, function definitions, then function call, all these things are comes, but we are missing out that if whether x is have the same variable. So whether x is a same variable, or does x is new for each assignments, or for each function call it takes a x different value, or for each definition there will be any different x function. Okay, so whenever Python execute a function, it going to create a namespace. So whenever Python execute a function call, it create a namespace. So it's going to create the namespace. So it's a space for names to store the local variables of that call. So I'm repeating, whenever the Python executes a function call, it's going to create a namespace, and this namespace is for storing the for names, to store the local variables for that call. So your namespace can be a scrap piece of paper. Okay, so you are going to write it something, or you are making short notes of it. Once you have done it with the short notes or the short things, then you just throw it away. Like that, Python is going to write down the local variables on that piece of paper, that is namespace, and it's going to keep track of them as long as the function is being executed, and it's going to throws the paper away when the function returns. Okay, so separately Python will keeps another namespace variable which is created in the shell. So with respect to function call, it will maintain a one namespace, and with respect to the shell, it going to maintain the another namespace. So for single function, single main functions or the function, we have a two namespace. One it is with respect to the function call, another one it is with respect to the shells. Okay. In the previous, when we are going to execute the function, so when I have discussed with your ABS value, right? In that time I told you that how evaluation of the function will goes. So first it going to evaluate the arguments. It's from left to right. So after that it going to pass the result of that argument to the function. Okay. Then that function will execute the function body and it going to return the value. Okay. For that we are going to redefine the one more rule. Here we are going to create a namespace. Okay, we are going to create the namespace to hold the local variable. So with respect to this, first it going to evaluate the argument from left to right. After evaluation, going to create a namespace to hold the function calls, that is local variable and what other parameter, and that will be pass the resulting arguments value to the function by assigning them as a parameter. So after that it going to execute the function body. Okay, when that return the statement is executed, the execution of that body get terminated and the value of the expression in that return statement is used as a value of the function call. Okay, I will repeat it. ಓಕೆ, ನೀವು ಯಾವಾಗ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ನ ಡಿಫೈನ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ನ ಕಾಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ ಅವಾಗ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ನಲ್ಲಿರೋ ಆರ್ಗ್ಯುಮೆಂಟ್ ಏನಿದೆ ಅದು ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಎಕ್ಸಿಕ್ಯೂಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಲೆಫ್ಟಿಂದ ರೈಟ್ಗೆ. ಸೊ ಅದಾದಮೇಲೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ನೇಮ್ ಸ್ಪೇಸ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅಂದರೆ ಒಂದು ಮೆಮೊರಿನ ಅಲೋಕೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಅದರಲ್ಲಿರೋ ಲೋಕಲ್ ವೇರಿಯೇಬಲ್ಸು ಮತ್ತು ಏನೇನು ಪ್ಯಾರಾಮೀಟರ್ ಪಾಸ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಸ್ಟೋರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದು ನೇಮ್ ಸ್ಪೇಸ್ನ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಆ ನೇಮ್ ಸ್ಪೇಸ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಆದಮೇಲಿಂದ ಏನು ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಏನು ಪಾಸ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತೀವಿ ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವೇನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಒನ್ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ವಿಲ್ ಪಾಸ್ ಟು ದ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಎಕ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನೋ ವೇರಿಯಬಲ್ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಈ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಆದಮೇಲೆ ನಾವೇನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಈ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಒಳಗಡೆಗೆ ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನು ಕಳಿಸ್ತೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಆಫ್ಟರ್ ದಟ್ ದ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಬಾಡಿ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಎಕ್ಸಿಕ್ಯೂಟೆಡ್. ನಾವು ಏನು ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ಗೆ ಬಾಡಿ ಬರೆದಿರ್ತೀವಲ್ಲ ಇದು ಎಕ್ಸಿಕ್ಯೂಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಇದು ಎಕ್ಸಿಕ್ಯೂಟ್ ಆದಮೇಲಿಂದ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ದಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಸ್ಟೋರ್ಡ್ ಇನ್ ಯುವರ್ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಕಾಲ್. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಆರ್ ದ 4 steps or the rules while you are evaluating the functions. Okay, let us consider the memory model for this functions. So there will be a 2 separate boxes for each namespace to indicate the variable which is inside and with respect to the shell. Okay, so in terms of programming, the local variables or the function variables are called as a frames, and for other it is objects. So I will show that. So this is for your local, that is programmatically we represent it as a frames, and this is for our objects. So this here it goes frames for namespace, and in objects it goes for object go here. Okay, let us start the confusing code. Okay, let us start the confusing code. So I will rub this. So with this, when we are running, beginning with there is no variable have been created, Python is about to execute the function definitions. I am telling that there is no variable attribute has been created. Python will going to execute the function definition. It not going with a function body, it just execute the function definition. The definition of the function here it is diff f of x. Okay, so while I am executing, I will make the arrow marks. So here it will start with here. So once this has been defined, okay, we have in a memory module okay, when this statement is get executed, so the namespace will consisting of frames and object, and for f of x the object will be get created and with the id 1 and that will be assigned to the shell, okay, that is namespace for the frames, okay. Next, after this, after completion of this, the next it move to the statement, that is next assignment statement, it is here x equal to 1 and this will be get executed. So with respect to this, okay, the variable 1 will be get created and it's with respect to address as id2 and it is of type integer and this will be assigned to the variable x. Now shell will become like this, okay. So after completion of this, the next statement it is this one. So x equal to f of x plus 1 plus f of x plus 2. So we know that when we are executing expressions or when with respect to the equal sign, okay, the right hand side of the expression will be evaluated first. So with that, so this right hand side and with respect to the plus symbol, the left side operator will be get executed. That means this function will get executed first. So when this function get executed, so the x will pointing to the value of called. So we have created with the one more memory called f. So memory will be created because we are executing this function. Before that, the argument get evaluated and argument x value is 1 and we are incrementing with the value called 1. So x plus 1, x 1 plus 1, it will become 2 and the 2 will be passed to the function x, right. So the 2 will be passed to the function f of x. So here, so when you are executing the x, the current statement is of type x. So the x will contain the value as 1. Then when we are in the function f or when we are in function call, then x will become 2. Okay, clear? So after this, when this function is get executed, this will call the function. So this will going to call the function and the statement it is 2 multiplied by x. So currently we are pointing at the function f and the x value it is 2 and we need to multiply the 2 with 2. So the answer it is 2 to the 4 and that will be assigned to the variable called 4. So then the 4 will be get created with id of 4 and it is of type integer, okay. So with respect to this, the value which is created or the x variable which is created for the function x is reassigned with a new object value, that is 4, with a value called 4. So after executing that, it should execute a return of x. So it going to return the value of x. So then the same IDE 4 will be refers to the return value. Okay, clear? Okay, when this function get executed means it's terminate the return the value. So after that we need to execute this part, okay. So when this function is get returned, so these things are not in a frames. These things are not in a frames, okay, because this is a local variable of the function called f. So these things are get erased, only the object or the value will be there, so there is no references, okay. So those things will be get erased. So next we need to evaluate the x plus 2. So currently we are at this position, or we are in the shell. So the currently x value it is 1. So we need to add 1 with a value called 2. So 1 plus 2 will become 3, and this 3 will be passed to the function called f. So we need to create a memory as, so the f function will be get created, and with the id 5 is of type int, and value it is 3, okay. So this will be pointing to the variable called x, and it's contain the address as ide 5, okay. So after that it's going to execute the statement called 2 multiplied by x. So currently we are in the function, okay. So that value of x it is 3 multiplied by 2 we will get a 6. So that will be ide 6, it is of type integer, and 6 will be get stored here, and both x and return value will be pointing to the same thing, because we are returning the same x value, okay. So once everything is get completed, so this will be assigned to the value original variable. So first with respect to the shell, so with respect to this f will pointing to the f of id 1, that is f of x, and now the x will be pointing to the x id of 7, which is of 10, because we have performed a arithmetic operation, that is function value when get returned. So this is it returned with 4, and this function will get return 6. So totally this statement will be get executed, and it is value it is 10. So that will be pointed out by this ide 7, okay. So this is how the memory trace will go with in a function calls. So whenever each function calls, it going to create its own local namespace. After performing the operations, it going to remove from that namespace, or the namespace will get created, only the object will be there, or there may be a reference for that objects. So like that we are going to perform the operations on functions. So last topic it is return statements. You can omit the return statement in a functions. So usually what we will do, we will write a return statements for every function. For example, define f, so I am passing a value as y, okay. So y equal to y multiplied by 5. So here then I am assigning a value with res, then I am calling a function f of 5, okay. When I write it like this, I will get an answer as nothing, none will be get displayed, because nothing is get displayed, because in this function we have not passed any return value, okay. We have not passed any return value for this function, we are simply none will be displayed. Let me calculate the or check the value of length of the result value. So it will shows that none, okay, or it going to check for length value. So it will says the none. So when this is defined, we can give a none value to a return functions, and this none value can be used for in further classes. So with this, before ending, I just recall what we have studied in this sessions. So in this sessions we have studied with how to create a functions in a Python, and tracing of a functions, okay, how to trace the functions. So the memory model of your functions, and if we can omit the return statement in a functions. So with this, I am going to end this today's session. Thank you.